Focus on concepts P. What adding two negative integers means. This concept of understanding the combining of signed numbers or negative and positive numbers or negative and positive integers is so important that we're going to emphasize one more time the comprehension or understanding of combining negatives. And this example shows my favorite one, the one about money. People seem to really be able to grasp the concept of money. We know that a negative integer plus a negative integer equals a negative integer. For example, negative 10 and negative 20 make negative 30. But why is this true? We're going to look at a real-world example. We have Sam who owes his sister $10. We represent that as negative Sam having negative $10. In other words, he's missing $10 or he owes his sister $10. If he asks her for $20 more, now he owes another 20, so negative 10 and negative 20 make negative 30. He now has 30 missing dollars, or his sister is missing $30. If Sam wants to owe his sister nothing, he must pay back 10 and 20, or 30. So now think about what a negative number is. For every number a, there is a number negative a such that the two of them make 0. For example, if I have $10 or positive 10 and I combine it with negative 10, I get 0 because it's like the negatives just suck up all the positives and make 0. You have seen that this is true on a number line in an earlier lesson. We will use this idea and the addition properties to see why it is true that negative 10 plus negative 20 is the same as the opposite of 10 plus 20. We are saying that if negative 10 plus negative 20 is the opposite of 10 plus 20, this is true and their sum should be 0. We will begin by finding the sum of negative 10 plus negative 20 and 10 plus 20. So negative 10 plus negative 20, using the associative property, means that we can move them around, take their symbols of enclosure off, move them around, and ungroup the addends or the addition parts. So here we have our negative 10 plus our negative 20, and we ungrouped the 10 plus 20. Because those symbols of enclosure, because there's no minus sign or anything, are not protecting anything. It can just be positive 10, positive 20. Now we use commutative to rearrange the addends. And remember, I told you, as long as you take their signs with them, these numbers can become commutative. That's why we can move the negative 10 next to the positive 10 by taking this positive 10 and moving it over. And we can move the negative 20 over to go with the 20. And we can see that those become opposite pairs. And by associating them with symbols of enclosure, we see that positive 10 and negative 10 make 0, and positive 10 and negative 20 make 0, and so the whole thing simplified becomes 0. So because of this, the sum of 0 implies that negative 10 and negative 20 are the opposite of 10 plus 20. This means that 10 plus 20 is the opposite of negative 10 and negative 20. And it seems like we're talking in circles. We sort of are, because what we're saying is that it works both ways. It doesn't matter which order we say it in, that negative 10 and negative 20 are the same as or equal to the opposite of 10 plus 20. Because here these symbols of enclosure would make a difference. We can't take them off without adding the 10 and 20 together and then saying they're negative 30. In this case, the symbols of enclosure, when there's a negative sign out in front, we can't just take them off like we could up here when they were plus and plus. So again, this is just another way of thinking of how to understand why two negatives make a bigger negative when you're combining them by the addition operation. So again, this is to cement these important combining concepts in your mind, particularly before you learn the rules for your other operators, multiplication and division. Addition and subtraction have different rules than multiplication and division. So we must be very, very comfortable with the addition or combining or subtraction, combining of signed numbers, also called algebraic addition, before we start multiplying and dividing and having new rules to comprehend and remember.